Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox, along with my co-host, as always, Clem. And we are here for another free swim type news type show. There's not necessarily one topic we're going to be focused around today, but we're going to hit a bunch of topics along the way. Clem, how are you?
Doing good. Back in the basement. Great to be back. Still got a little glow after Jose last week. Had a lot of fun with Jose.
People loved that, and I loved seeing people doing their homework. We got a bunch of tweets from basement boys and girls out there that actually bought the comics he was recommending.
Yeah, he spoiled the entire X-Men story arc, but they still were like, I'm in. That's how you know you're good. And it is one of those things where I can just, when I listen to the NBA podcast and I don't know anything about the NBA, and I'm like, but I enjoy listening to it because I did love it at one point. I just love hearing their stories, and that's Jose to a fucking T. It's absolutely perfect. But yeah, good to be back. Bob?
Jose's the best.
I would like you to give a little treat to our YouTube listeners right now, or YouTube watchers, I should say. Remove the lid.
A reveal of some sort?
A reveal of some sort. We have basically early pandemic, Bob. This is probably like circa December 2020-ish right here.
Yeah,
Bob
this is the shortest my hair's been since 2020. I got a haircut today. I sent you a picture. I could put it in the podcast. Screw it. I woke up the other day and it was like a cartoon bomb had gone off in my face. My hair was everywhere. It's in my face. It was like Swamp Thing. It had like arms and legs of its own that were strangling me in my sleep. I said, I'm done with the long hair. Pup Punk doesn't have a show booked for a while. I got long enough to grow it out if I want to grow it out again. So I went to my guy Andrew in the city and chopped all my hair off. Feels like I lost 10 pounds, to be honest.
The Bob Fox locks, I gasped when I saw it. And I was like, I don't even really remember. I barely remember you with like short hair. There's like 2 or 3 like old gifs of you that I've seen here and there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what Robbie looks like with short hair. He actually did have that at one point. You've grown into that long hair look. You kind of have the vibe, obviously a rock and roller yourself. So, but yeah, that picture of you looks like you and you're like an 80s band that like went out hard. It was partying till 6 a.m, trashed the hotel room, did every drug and liquor under the fucking sun. So
yeah. In reality, it was just like I stayed up too late eating Sour Patch Kids.
Finished The Sopranos.
I finished The Sopranos, and I want to save any spoiler talk. I want to talk a little bit of spoilers with you at the end of the show, but I'll wait till then because I actually got a few tweets when I tweeted that I was done with it of people being like, oh my God, I'm on season 4 for the first time right now. I'm on season 3. I think the 25th anniversary definitely made some people go back and rewatch it because HBO has been putting it all over Max and everything now. But oh my God, just non-spoiler Sopranos talk. Amazing. I think I said to you, Breaking Bad's always been my favorite show since I watched it. I would now say Breaking Bad and The Sopranos are my favorite shows. Everything else is below them. And it's like maybe recency bias, but I don't even think so. I enjoyed so much of the show. I'm already thinking like, when am I going to go back and rewatch it? But almost at the end of Fargo season 1 already. Really enjoying that. And I know it's like you could hop around in Fargo, but we're kind of like enjoying Fargo. So I think we might go through that. I watched the first episode of True Detective. That's out. Did you see that?
No, but that is very much next on our list because we had to finish season 5 of Fargo, which we just finished. So
which True people loved. I know people loved the new Fargo, right?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I want to say I can't say it's my favorite season just because I know how much I loved almost every season by the end of it. But some of the characters were fucking just home runs. And I think I think Fargo is probably like the tier below Sopranos, Breaking Bad, The Wire for me, which we're going to get Bob to watch The Wire. I've seen the tweets, people. We're going to get Bob to watch The Wire. We'll do some sort of thing in the basement here. We've already got our beautiful boy Trent potentially coming on for a little recap with us as well. I was thinking every season maybe we'll do like a recap episode. But Fargo, I mean, it might be, I don't want to say it's the best season because I think I remember feeling pretty like jacked up, but it's like 2 or 3 in my personal rankings. So yeah, I'm excited to get Bob Fox caught up to me. Sopranos, I haven't seen the TikToks. I'm kind of intrigued to see the TikToks. Am I going to hate it? Am I going to hate it? Bob, be honest. Okay, I'm not going to.
I watched the one for college, which is one of the most classic episodes. It's the episode that like definitely hooked me when Tony brings Meadow off and looks at colleges, but on the way sees a rat. Watching it in 25 seconds, it's like, what the fuck? I also saw an article today that said some fans skip all the Melfi scenes in The Sopranos, and I was like, excuse me, what? That's not like, you just can't skip those scenes. Those are, that's like half the show.
That I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. And there are some times where you're like, all right, I'm not in the mood for a Melfi scene right now, but it's like there's so much that
You need him though, because Tony going off in her face, slamming the door, but amazing. And the last 2 episodes of the show felt like a Sopranos movie to me. Like watching them back to back, we saved the final 2 to watch together as like a chunk, and it was so goddamn cinematic. Just the paranoia, the anxiety, the way they shot it, the colors are way darker, and the way they depict the mob throughout the show is so awesome to me, because there's definitely times where you want to just root for them. You're like, Paulie Walnuts and Syl are the best. And then they always will remind you at the most like gut-wrenching moment that these are bad guys that you should not be rooting for. And they do that hardcore in the final season, where by the end, I don't think you're rooting for basically anyone. There's maybe a handful of characters you're like, I hope they get out of this life. But like everyone just goes down such a bad path. It was, man, I can't say enough good things about it. If you haven't watched it, if you were an idiot like me and put it off for this long, gotta watch The Sopranos.
Yeah, if you want to do any spoiler talk, we'll do it at the end. We won't obviously spoil anything, even though it's like with Hank and part of my take.
I know.
It's been like 20 years or whatever, 25 years, I guess now, or whatever it's been. But we'll get Bob to watch The Wire. Sopranos, I think, it's on my Mount Rushmore. I think it's 3 or 4. There's that one season that we'll talk about later that I just didn't love, but it was the first show I was probably like genuinely obsessed with. That was like a drama. I loved Simpsons when I was a kid. Seinfeld, I was, rewatch seasons before the finale, but Sopranos was the first of like those heavy hitters. Breaking Bad, The Wire. I almost have to throw even Thrones up there, and it's like just ignore the last season and be like, because that had a chance for me to be my number 1, probably my number 2. I love The Wire that much. So, and I'm doing Ozarks right now. We are in season 2. Bob,
I love you do an old man thing with that. You put an S at the end.
I throw the S because it's called the Ozarks in real life. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I do it. And I've been catching myself because they literally says every episode, it says Ozark on the screen. Yeah. And I'm like, that is such bullshit because I'm an old man and I love throwing S's at the end. And they're really fooling me right now.
Can you get me on the bar stools?
My buddy's friend dad says Walgreens is, so we double S's.
Double. Whoa. Before we get into some of the topics, I just want to shout this out. Today, as this is coming out, January 19th, I have an interview with Mitchell Tenpenny, country artist who also dips his toes in the pop punk water. Really cool interview, fun interview. It was the day he did Jimmy Fallon. He came to do the show in between his sound check and performance on Fallon, which I thought was kind of rock star life. Speaking of rock stars, this coming Monday, the 22nd, Gavin Rossdale of Bush joins the show. And I watched Constantine for the first time with Keanu Reeves because Gavin Rossdale plays one of the villains. Balthazar, I think his name is. And I got to ask him about it. He was like very down to talk about it. Really cool interview. And then Wednesday, the 24th, Alec Benjamin joins the program, another musician. So 3 music interviews coming up on My Mom's Basement. And also, reminder, if you're an MMA fan, we do MMA talk on a different podcast now called Spin and Backfist. I'm sure I'll do the occasional MMA interview on this podcast still. If someone's into nerdy stuff, or Dana White will probably be back on My Mom's Basement at some point. But Jack Mack, Big Ev, and I do it twice a week. We break down fights and we go live right after the fights. So like this Saturday, if you're watching the pay-per-view and it ends at 1 a.m. and you got no one to talk about it with, come talk about it in our chat. We'll read chat comments and all that. So there you go.
You guys are diehard into that shit too. I love how it's 3 very different dudes and everyone's just like dialed up, has their takes, has their guys. And that's just me watching as someone has no clue about what's going on in the world of MMA. But yeah,
it's a good card this weekend. It's a Toronto card. The UFC's returned to Toronto. They haven't been there in a while. And Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland is unbelievable main event. 2 crazy people and polarizing people, but great fighters. And it's going to be an awesome fight. So I'm excited for that.
Make sure Uncle Dana comes to the basement, though. We need the views.
We'll get him back. Right? We'll get Uncle Dana back.
He doesn't go to the Backfist. He comes to the basement.
Yeah. So final Echo thoughts. We talked about Echo last week. I'm sure some people are like already over Echo because that's how it goes when you release a series to binge all at once. When it comes to the finale, I thought it was good, not great. Once again, I felt like they over CGI'd it where they didn't need to. I enjoyed the series as a whole more than Secret Invasion, I think. Not saying much, but Secret Invasion started strong. We talked about, we were like, this is one of the best new shows in the MCU. Why is nobody talking about it? Well, we were definitely wrong by the end. I love the idea that Echo comes from her ancestors echoing through her. And they did that very well throughout the season when they like would show us flashes. When they spent too long on like the weird CGI people, I was out. I hated all of that. Kingpin was the highlight of the show for me. I thought they probably added a lot of his stuff in reshoots, if I had to guess, because I know the show had a lot of reshoots. And there's a lot of like dinner scenes where it's just Maya and him. It's like, well, that was a very like thrown together, whatever. But there's a lot of great Kingpin in it, including a really good post-credit scene with a good tease for the future of ground level MCU in New York City, I guess.
Yeah, I think you said it perfect. The flashback. Hey, listen, I've said this in the past. I think I said it with Eternals. I love when it's like you're going back to like history or real times, and you're kind of giving the Marvel spin on it. But like the lacrosse scenes and stuff, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get out of like a big lacrosse game going on right now. I will say this: I was like, whatever, perfectly fine. My expectations with Echo or the MCU in general are pretty low. I think you could almost like slap that that quote on like the poster better than Secret Invasion, I guess. Yeah. I feel like they'll take that, right? However, the only problem was crazy enough, Jose telling me how awesome Echo is in the comic books. I'm now like, let's get those stories and that character, because that character sounds pretty fucking cool.
I know that's the double-edged sword of Jose, is like he'll explain the comics to you and you're like, that's awesome, but then it makes you go like, then why didn't they do that? And that's why Jose doesn't even watch a lot of these shows and movies. He's like, nah, I don't care. I know it's better in the comics. And God bless him for having that like resistance, his self-restraint, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So he's eating like filet mignon, and we're eating like the filet mignon flavored potato chips. And we're being like,
and we're like, these are
pretty good. Yeah.
Like, yeah, they taste like it. Yeah.
Try actual filet mignon, you jerks. I love Jose so much. The Kingpin stuff was the best, which I think I feel like we could have had more Kingpin.
Totally.
Like, I guess you don't want it to be the Kingpin show, just name it Kingpin.
But why not? Why not call it Echo and Kingpin? And make it the Echo and Kingpin show.
I'm trying not to do the like True Detective, make a better show than what you got. It's like, just this is what you got and then live with it. But it's like, again, you're gonna throw someone like Echo, maybe a little more Kingpin, a little extra Daredevil, couple
she never needed powers. That's the other thing. The ancestors echoing through her. I wish it was more like the Force in a way, but like A New Hope, the Force, when nobody was moving shit with their mind, it was just like Luke can sort of channel, or so he thinks, Ben Kenobi is saying, use the Force, Luke. What if her ancestors just talk to her? We don't even need visuals when the fucking grandma's fucking throwing haymakers at the end, knocking out henchmen. Don't need any of that. That's what She-Hulk made fun of. It's like, it didn't need any CGI in this show. I'm sure they need a little bit of CGI, but none of the power CGI. If you do street level MCU, I don't want to see that shit.
Speaking of the street level stuff and kind of the like rawness of it, I maybe we got our expectations a little too high with the gore and the violence. Didn't really get what I thought we were going to get with that. We were like, oh shit, they're bringing the R rating to the Disney Plus finally, and it's like,
There was the one scene when they do the one shot in the first episode where someone like walks through a door and shoots a gun that way. I remember seeing like blood splatter on the door. And then there's the scene where Kingpin, like from the trailer, where he just beats the shit out of that
dumpster.
guy. Yeah.
Also, if the guy's not selling you an ice cream or whatever, you take the whole fucking like thing of ice cream. They didn't even go and get the ice cream afterwards or whatever you had. And I'm like, dude, the whole reason was you wanted the fucking ice cream cone. What are we doing here, Kingpin? So that, like it's just all over his like white suit. It was like imagery and all that kind of shit. So I was bummed about that. However, what this has led to, like I kind of alluded to with the True Detective stuff, is now we have the people at Reddit being like, is he going to be, I've heard this phrase a bunch. I don't know if it's been on Twitter or wherever else you browse around. The street level Thanos, we're being told, is what Kingpin's
I've also seen that phrase. Yeah. Yes. I like that. If we're building him up to that, he's the guy to do it with, because his performance in this show is even great too. That weird cadence he talks with is like, It's so bizarre and nobody else does it, but it makes him seem intimidating and shit. Something that didn't go explained, and I saw people bringing this up on Twitter and asking questions about it too. In the comics, I think her dad is like killed when she's pretty young, same story through Fisk's people, convinces her it's Daredevil in the comics, I think. In the show, it's Hawkeye. In the show, she's a fully grown adult by the time her dad's killed. So why was he raising her? Was the dad just not around a lot? He was working too much for Kingpin. So the dad's boss was like, I'll raise your kid.
Dad died. And I don't.
The dad died when she was an adult.
I don't even remember how it all
So
went. Their mom with the car accident.
I feel like they didn't think about it too much, or there was like a fuck ton of reshoots and they kind of just were splicing it together the best they could. Which I'm worried about with the next couple of Marvel shows, because now we're hearing Ironheart's going back to reshoots. I think Agatha had a lot of reshoots.
Really?
I don't know. Reshoots don't always mean bad things. Rogue One, great example. Reshoots added the Darth Vader scene, but like makes me worried.
Yeah, I'm not on the. You definitely have the reshoot. You're following the right people for the reshoot info. I don't know any of this stuff, so you see my heart breaking. But it could just be like, listen, everyone's having reshoots, no matter what. You guys are gonna do that. So, all in all, I will say this for people that are listening and been like, didn't watch the show, really don't care. Go to My Guy Heavy Spoilers. Does like a 20-minute breakdown. It does the Easter egg stuff. He basically gives you the whole show in that. So you kind of can do that. And you also get a lot of the background information of stuff that, even we're not talking about, maybe stuff Jose touched on and whatever, and what it might mean for the future in the MCU if they ever just get their shit together and become. My wife is like, what are you guys talking about tonight? And I was like, yeah, we're going to talk Echo for a little bit. I was like, we started this when we started with Endgame, It's like we kind of started at maybe like a little unrealistic expectations time to be like, it's going to be like this from now on. Not so fast, my friend.
I know. I started at Barstool when McGregor fought Mayweather, and since then it hasn't been like it was. So yeah, it's tough. It's real tough. Let's get into some news stories.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We'll get into some news stories.
I pulled most of these news stories from the Culture Crave Twitter account. Shout out to the Culture Crave Twitter account, always keeping people updated. And they got a great profile picture of Darth Vader wearing sunglasses. Robert Downey Jr., right after we did our last podcast, did an interview where he came out and said he felt like playing Iron Man, he had some of the greatest performances of his career as an actor, but he thinks it went a little bit unnoticed because of the genre. And I thought this quote was worth bringing up because comic book Twitter and MCU Twitter, of course, were fully in support of Robert Downey Jr. saying this and just started rattling off tweet after tweet with his best scenes in the MCU. And every single one, I'm telling you, put chills on my arm, goosebumps. It was like the scene specifically where he finds out about his parents and he's looking at Captain America, he's looking at Bucky, and he's, just coming to grips with that. It's like a minute of silence and he's like just speaking with his eyes. He's definitely right in saying that. Just wanted to kind of like lob this one up to you to also talk about your boy.
Yeah, when you brought up that scene, I'm like, do I do the thing now or I just rip Bob and Cap and do that? I appreciate the softball. It's so true though. And I just want like, as just a comic book fan, or I guess comic movie fan, whatever you want to call us, you just want to tell like all the fucking bozos in Hollywood who are shitting on like the genre to be like, no, look, this is awesome. Like, now look at all the stuff that we've recently talked about. That shit sucks. Yeah. But all this stuff, it can be good. It can be great. It can be awesome. It's so weird how I feel like Batman almost has transcended being a comic book movie, whenever it is one, or it's, the franchise is rolling. But like the Heath Ledger Joker performance, I feel like instantly was basically beloved. And I feel like, I'm not saying Robert Downey Jr. was all Heath Ledger in all his movies, but it's like he crushed it, and it kind of was like, oh, another superhero movie. But you said it, the stuff he says, the stuff he doesn't say. I mean, in all the movies, it's like they really just
the scene in Endgame. Scene in Endgame where he comes down and takes the thing off his chest and puts it in Steve Rogers' hands. Amazing. And also crazy good CGI in that scene to make him look all skeletal. Because I watched that back and I was like, this looks fucking phenomenal.
I thought he did the Christian Bale. Like, I'm going to eat 3 pieces of rice a day. I'm like, what is he fucking doing? He must have shot this scene at the end of everything.
Godzilla Minus One. I want your thoughts on Godzilla Minus One because you finally saw it.
Finally saw it. Lived up to everything you guys said. I think you gave it 4.5 balls,
Mhm.
right? Out of 5. I think I gave it 4, maybe 4.25. It was really good. I made sure to see it. It was playing one night a week at like a far theater, and I was like, I gotta just get it done. Got it done. Very happy I did. If you're a fan of obviously the originals, you're gonna love it. If you're just like any of the monster movies, or you've seen some of the more recent ones, be like, man, there's just so much more on the bone. This one kind of does it right. It does it right. It's dealing with World War II, like time period, which I think is very cool. I heard they're re-releasing it in black and white, which I think is fucking sick.
They
Is
are. I
that
noted that. It's Godzilla minus one minus color is what they're calling it,
that's
which is
awesome.
amazing. So they are re-releasing it in black and white. That's like next week, I think. And it's your last chance to see it. So it'll play alongside the normal one. You'll still be able to see it in color. But it's just like until February 1st, I think they'll be out of theaters. But I would recommend seeing it in theaters. I think it's like a great theater experience movie.
Yeah, that big popcorn.
Some of the roars, how good are the roars, dude?
Great roars.
Yeah.
And the laser fire breath or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Like just hearing all that go the way it goes. Shovel some popcorn in your mouth, stare at a big screen with some really loud speakers, watch it in the theater. We're doing our Jeff D. Lowe. You got to keep the movie theaters alive. You got to do it.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
And I was also like the other thing that really got me to go out was they said the guy still doesn't know when he's going to bring it to streaming, which is probably what they tell him to say. So then idiots like me will go out. They'll probably just take the first nice fat check from Netflix or whoever it may be. But I was like, I don't want to wait for this thing and then just slowly have the hype build up even more. I think I couldn't believe I broke the news to our boy Hubs, who's like the biggest Godzilla fan ever, that this thing was coming back in black and white. And I kind of want to see it in black and white now. Also, Godzilla's song, I just love it. The bum, bum, bum. It's
the original too. They brought that back.
Yeah, they brought it back, which I thought was so dope. And it's for the people that don't know it, Simon Says. It's an old, I think Pharaoh Monch is the one who did that song. And that's the beat from it. And I was like, holy shit, I listened to that on the way home. Like, blaring loud. But very good movie. And it is one of those movies where I think you said it best. Jaws meets The Dark Knight. That's kind of how Godzilla is.
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect way to kind of explain the way they treat Godzilla, the monster in this. And you also do care. They do a great job with the human stories in it because sometimes they just weigh down the movie completely. They suck. And you're like, man, I wish I just got more Godzilla. You get the perfect amount of Godzilla and you get a human story you actually care about.
Yeah. And like I said, last chance to see it in theaters is next week. Director Takashi Yamazaki was at Lucasfilm this week for a screening of Godzilla Minus One set up by Dave Filoni. And he says, the director, that Star Wars inspired him to make films, and he's hoping to get a call to make one. Dave Filoni setting this up, Ahsoka having tons of samurai vibes. I could see him being brought in to do an episode or two of Ahsoka next season if they want to do that.
That's a good call.
Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson just liked one of our videos from last week. Like literally just now, like the video that we put up on January 11th of us talking about like how freaky season 2 is going to get with the Mortis gods.
Rosario Dawson. She's on the crush list, Bob.
She's welcome in the basement, you know. It'd be one of those things where we're like chicks in the basement. Oh my God, but she's welcome.
I would be straight up the kid out of high school that doesn't even say a word. I would just be, I mean, her and Clerks 2 is obviously.
Oh my God, yeah.
She's like stunning, but what was it? 25th Hour Natural, I think it's the name of that. It's just like, oh my goodness, great. I can't even think about that right now, Bob. Just the thought of her clicking a heart on a fucking digital platform, even if it's her agent, just be like, let's give some love to these nerds that are talking about our movie and show them we care about them or our show. Ahsoka, this guy, by the way, saying I'd love to do a Star Wars movie, buddy. Let's pump the brakes.
Wouldn't everybody?
I mean, like, 5 years ago, they would have given you one just if he asked politely, right? So
True.
It's not a bad idea, but that was I thought.
But this is listen. If you're gonna ask for it, now's the time. Godzilla Minus One has gotten like universal praise on top of the world. Before you make a project that people are like, meh, it was all right. It wasn't Godzilla Minus One. Like, just do it now.
And the fact that you're taking a franchise that is already huge and a known property, it's not like you did this indie film that crushed. You took motherfucking Godzilla, brought him back into the people's hearts. Everyone loves it. That's not easy to do, man. As evidenced by the other 7,000 Godzilla movies that kind of sucked in different ways.
So a little award show recap I thought I would do. A couple of award shows have happened since our last podcast. The Emmys, the Golden Globes, the Critics' Choice Awards. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know in 5 bullet points here. First one, Robert Downey Jr. and Christopher Nolan are winning everything for Oppenheimer, as they should. Of course, we're happy for these guys. Nolan's never won the Best Director Oscar. This is definitely his year. I'm very excited for him. 2, guaranteed.
All right.
Both of them. Robert Downey Jr. is winning the Oscar. Nolan's winning the Oscar. Robert Downey Jr. has also been working these rooms like a fucking stand-up comedian and crushing every speech.
Yeah,
he is so charismatic. He's the best.
I think he's like channeling a little Tony Stark in some of them too.
No doubt. He has that like billionaire, philanthropist, playboy and energy. Yeah. Kieran Culkin winning everything for Succession, as he should. It's very nice to see. It's crazy that he's like nominated against Jeremy Strong, and like some of them are nominated against each other in the supporting actor. So it's like they're cannibalizing each other's awards, but it's nice to see them all together one last time at the Golden Globes at all these events. He also got asked at, I think, the Golden Globes, like, who would win in a fight, the Skarsgård brothers or the Culkins? And he was like, they're way bigger than us. Like, size matters. He's like, if you want to break an ankle of every Skarsgård, maybe we'll stand a chance, but them. He's the best.
Shout out Fuller. Wets the bed, but fucking crushes as an actor.
The Bear also winning a ton of awards.
I believe he's in a season of Fargo.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, you're gonna meet him soon.
Nice. The Bear winning a ton of awards. Io Edebiri winning a ton of awards. Jeremy Allen White, confusing my Jeremys, won his first Emmy. Our guy from Andor, Cousin, won his first Emmy. I don't want to butcher his name again. It's Ebon, and then his last name's a little harder to say.
It's Cousin Bob.
Cousin. He's amazing in the show, though. He fucking kissed what's his face from The Bear, the all tattooed up guy who's actually a chef in real life. Kissed him on the lips when they won their Golden Globe, I think it was. Great vibes all around from the Bear crew. Io has had very funny quotes in her press conferences where they're like, how are you going to stay humble? She's like, I'm still renting and I don't have dental insurance, so I'm pretty humble. Two upsets at the Critics' Choice Awards. So these weren't upsets at the Golden Globes because they spread out the categories, but Emma Stone and Paul Giamatti actually upset the Barbenheimer duo of Margot Robbie and Cillian Murphy for those acting awards. So Critics' Choice Awards has a lot of the same voters as the Oscars. Don't be surprised if Margot Robbie isn't winning for Barbie and Cillian Murphy isn't winning for Oppenheimer. I still think Cillian probably is a good shot for the Oscar, but Paul Giamatti and the Holdovers, he beat him out for Critics' Choice. He won the Golden Globe in comedy. Cillian won the Golden Globe in drama, but upset watch for the Oscars.
I noticed you didn't drop the G word for either of them. Very wise. This guy, Bob Fox, knows what he's doing. That's a good point. Giamatti also went to In-N-Out after he won the Golden Globe. I feel like that's going to play to the critics' hearts a little bit, maybe. I don't know. So, you maybe want to have some wacky stuff done with the statue, kind of like our boys in the that was such an awesome moment with Fack. He gets, I don't know.
Fack,
He's awesome. And he's and Cousin, and they're just going back and forth. You always need to have a couple guys like that in the
crew. Guys being dudes,
And our boy, yeah, exactly. The Bear himself, Jeremy Allen White, is that it?
Yep.
Jeremy Allen White. I mean, guy's just fucking the hottest guy in Hollywood right now. He's just in his underwear, his underpants. I'll go old man. He's wearing his underpants everywhere. His muscles are popping out. He's riding a fucking heater right now, man. An absolute heater.
And one final note, the most important note from all of award show season. Harrison Ford was given a Career Achievement Award at the Critics' Choice Award, and it was awesome. If you love Harrison Ford, like we love Harrison Ford, go and check out his speech. I think it's on YouTube. He was actually getting choked up, and Harrison Ford getting choked up, accepting this award, thanking everyone, thanking his wife, really, really choking up when he's thanking his wife. Oh my God. It was so nice. James Mangold was the one to actually like present the award to him. And he gave an awesome speech where he's just hyping up Harrison Ford. He like listed all the best fucking roles he was in. And he's like, I didn't even mention Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Place goes wild. Everyone in the crowd is like tearing up. Ki-Hu Kwan is in the crowd, like crying. It was such a nice moment. So shout out Harrison Ford, another guy who's welcome in the basement anytime he wants to come down here.
Maybe we'll do a Rosario Harrison double dip one of these days. Whenever it works out for them. Whenever they're good.
Listen, sorry you can't come on today. Rosario's on today.
You know how it goes, right, buddy? That's awesome, though. And Like, there wasn't a dry eye in the Fox household. Let's be
Oh
honest.
my
Bob
God.
was crying his eyeballs out.
No, absolutely. The second he walked up there, and well, even before he walked up there, when they cut to him as Mangold is presenting the award, he was like doing the old man, like shaking because he was crying a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, I can't let Han Solo cry. Let me shout out Game Time real quick before we move on. I actually used Game Time this past weekend. Me and Nate went to go see Rangers versus Caps at the Garden, and Rangers won. Great Rangers win. Loved
Rangers
seeing
are crushing, right?
they're unbelievable this season. Like this is I'm not gonna go Mark
no, not
Messier and
again.
guarantee this early. I'm not gonna do it, but they're crushing this season. They're doing really good. And the Islanders are horrendous this season, which of course I love. Frankie Borelli every night tweets the fucking picture of him pouring out to Pink Whitney. Oh, it's the best. But Game Time, you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. It's very easy to use. Me and Nate went separately, but we met each other in the arena. So he was able to send me the tickets. I downloaded them to my phone. We all met at the seats. It was perfect. And the Rangers scored within 30 seconds of the game. So we were literally like scooting down. Excuse me. Ah! It was amazing. What a moment. Thanks to Game Time. And there were great seats too. Section 103, if you know the Garden, lower bowl, like 15 rows up from the ice. It was perfect. It's the perfect distance from the ice for me not to get cold, but for me to be able to see the game very clearly. Game Time has deals on tickets right now up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. So if you're getting off work late, but you still want to go see that concert down the street, there you go. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals and tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code MMB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Great stuff all around. Tons of stuff coming up. Playoff football, NBA, baseball pitchers will be fucking reporting this.
Yeah, Bob, that's right.
Back into
the catchers. The catchers will be there as well. They're not just going to throw the ball to the backstop and get it themselves.
Pitchers are reporting this year, but we're not sending the catchers. They got to figure that shit out themselves. Speaking of movies, talking award show movies, the Mandalorian movie got a couple updates right after we did our last show. So via The Hollywood Reporter, the movie was made a priority during the strikes, apparently, which I'm like, how does that work? I thought they were supposed to fucking be on strike while they were doing that, but I don't know. Could lead to sequel films if successful. Breaking news there, Hollywood Reporter. What the fuck? Like, it's Star Wars. I'm sure
it just broke $1 billion. I just got word. It just broke $1 billion pre-sales.
Yeah. Dave Filoni is helping write the script. Not surprising, but, relieving to hear, I guess.
Relieving is a good word for that.
We want him to be involved. And season 4 scripts are all written, but it's unclear if that will happen. That, I don't have any info, obviously, but that makes me think they're rewriting season 4 into a movie. That's the way I'm taking it.
I didn't know if they were doing that or rewriting it to have the ending be the launch pad to the movie. I guess... So I always thought 4 was locked in. I thought, to be honest, they could have been filming 4 already, So this.
The thing about 4 happening for me is like, I feel like if 4 happens, it better be like season 1, season 2 good, because a lot of people weren't thrilled with season 3. I think we were more positive on it than most, other than the Jack Black scene or whatever.
Oh God,
it's bad.
That fucking episode was bad.
Well, not the whole episode, because Christopher Lloyd was good in it. So even that, I go back on, I'm like, he was like, Dooku was fucking right. I loved that Christopher Lloyd. But yeah, you don't want to put the box office success of the movie hinging on a potential season 4 that people take the same way they took season 3. I think you just want to be like, the Mandalorian and Grogu's coming. And we haven't seen The Mandalorian in 2 years, 3 years by the time this comes out in theaters or something. So it'll be a big like, oh, he's back.
Okay. You know what? I was really so going into it, I thought we were definitely getting 4 into the movie. Then you hear the rewrite, you hear all this kind of stuff or what exactly is going on. The way 3 ended, you can just kind of just go into the movie. And the Star Wars movies, when done accurately or correctly, I should say, can cover a shitload of ground.
Yeah.
in not, you know, it doesn't need to be a 7-hour movie. It could be like a 2.5-hour movie or whatever. So, all right, I'm down. And this is the thing. I'm very much, I don't want to like be like a diminishing returns every season of Mandalorian, followed by a good movie, and then being like, all right, or we just going movies from here on out. So I guess I'm cool with whatever happens. I'm not going to be upset either way. I kind of have my heart set on another season of Mando.
Yeah, I want more for sure. Like I want the most Mando you could give me, but just from like a Star Wars success perspective, I feel like it might not be smart to, but I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't make movies.
Bob does not make movies. Just letting that be known right now. I will say this: when I'm like thinking about Mando and just things, again with season 3, if you didn't like season 3, that's fine, or didn't love it like you love the other ones. You have to lump the Boba Fett episodes into this because I honestly think they threw them in there to help that show out because they knew it was sucking as it was being filmed. Are you wearing you're wearing the Boba shirt right now too? As I say that, I apologize.
Look, I go like this.
See, this is why you guys subscribe to the YouTube right there. Look at that right there. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. That is fucking beautiful stuff.
If you're not on YouTube, I look just like Boba Fett right now.
You honestly wouldn't even know. Boba Fox.
Boom. That's actually on Battlefront. When you put in little things, I would either be Red Fox or Boba Fox.
Oh, that's awesome.
Speaking of Star Wars movies, Daisy Ridley, I didn't know that salaries get reported like this, but her fucking salary got reported for the Star Wars movie. She's going to make $12.5 million to star in the new Jedi Order movie. Am I crazy for saying that sounds a little low to me?
So I saw a tweet that said like her like info of the movie and salary revealed, and I was like, this feels like an old burglar clicks right here. So I did not give the click, even though I should, you know, game respect game. I thought it was almost too obvious, so I didn't click it. 12.5.
I'm just now, I don't know what actors make. I have nothing to judge this off of in that industry, but I think of like sports contracts, and then I think of how much money a potential Star Wars movie could make at the box office. And I was like, 12.5. I feel like she could make 25 million for this. 50. I don't know.
I'm trying to, let's see. Star Wars contracts. Let's see.
And I'm a big Daisy Ridley fan. I think she should make 25 million for this. Pay Daisy Ridley more, Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
Become that podcast.
I feel like Dave is, Dave, I think that's his like number one. That she got him in the Star Wars, basically, right?
I know. Me and Dave would have a lightsaber battle on Mustafar for her.
12.5. Maybe that's for the first movie, but then it's like, if this hits, because let's be honest, the sequels kind of had some diminishing returns in terms of the fan base. You can blame people like me if you want. So maybe they're like, it starts at 12 and it goes up to 25 if we don't completely butcher the first one.
Yeah, I guess so. And apparently Rey may also be in Sean Levy's Star Wars movie, which we don't really know anything about. Levy? I don't know if it's Levy or Levy. I think it might be Levy. I don't know, though. He's the guy that makes all the Ryan Reynolds movies now. Deadpool movies. He makes Free Guy. He's in the suite at Taylor Swift Chiefs games.
Free. Oh, yeah. Okay. That guy's everywhere.
He's everywhere. Yeah.
And that's how the Ryan Reynolds connection came in, because him and Blake Lively were in the beginning of this whole Taylor Swift nonsense. They were always like tagging along too. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, is Ryan Reynolds literally just, it's like, oh, cool shit's going down. Ryan Reynolds needs to be there. That's kind of where he's at right now, which good for him, I guess.
Yeah. And we don't disparage him on this podcast because he follows me on Twitter now.
Oh, we never disparage Ryan Reynolds. AJ told me today he knows who Deadpool is, and I'm like, oh God, no. I was like, are you watching Deadpool when I'm out of the house? Because I was like, listen, the Clemenza kids can get away with a lot here. Deadpool's not one of those things. We're still a few years away.
More Star Wars news. Andor should be wrapping production very, very soon. Diego Luna told Variety he was leaving to go do one final week of the show just a few days ago, like 2 days ago as we're recording this. So one final week and Andor's in the can. We saw a season 2 trailer leak from like the last Star Wars Celebration, which makes me think they had a lot of season 2 in the can. I don't know though, because I guess they could put trailers together with very minimal footage and reuse some footage from season 1 if they needed to, but I'm excited for Andor season 2. We're getting K2SO in this season. It's also going to be a time jumpy season. I think every 2 episodes skip like a couple of years. So they're doing like an time jump to get us to Rogue One. And it'd be cool if they did a little Rogue One type like intro, like almost get into Rogue One the same way Rogue One gets into A New Hope.
Yep.
Yeah, where you could binge the whole series, then binge Rogue One into A New Hope, and you could kind of take Andor as a starting point for the whole saga.
So I don't think it needs it. And in fact, it may actually be bad for it because it might take you out of the Andor vibes. Is there a chance we get a little bit of the Man in Black? Do you think he pops up at all during this season?
I think he can, and he doesn't even have to run in with Andor, like I think fucking Luthen Riel is such a good character, and he's the fucking head of a big faction of the rebellion. What if Vader wants to see it that he kills him himself, and you give fucking Skarsgård a scene opposite Vader?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the kind of thing I'd love to see. I want way more Skarsgård. Not that they didn't give us enough of him in season 1. He was just so good that I want more of him.
I'm going to say this right now, and I don't think it may seem like a hot take or whatever, but I think if you think about it, this is the most I will look forward to a Star Wars show in terms of a season ever. And like Mando, it was like season 2. We're going to have fun again with Baby Yo. He's so goddamn cute. The fucking highs of Andor season 1 were like legitimate. We're talking like those shows we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. We're talking Sopranos. We're talking Breaking Bad. Like there were moments there with fucking the speech by who's our boy?
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Our boy Skarsgård. I fucking dream in nightmares or with the fucking.
Oh my god.
Oh, incredible.
Sharing nightmares with ghosts or something. He was saying the best shit ever on that catwalk. It was awesome.
Oh, it was incredible. Mon Mothma and their fucking dickhead of a husband.
Mon Mothma was so good. Mon Mothma, they made a politician in Star Wars like an interesting character. Yeah. Who thought they could do that? Tony Gilroy, the guy that makes this, he's a legend. You never would have thought Andor season 2 is going to be the most excited you are for a Star Wars show.
Flabbergasted, just like as I'm like you're talking about it, I'm like putting it in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm looking more for the feeling I have right now is a feeling I haven't felt ever for a Star Wars TV show. And again, Baby Yo is my fucking guy. Boba Fett before that started, like stoked to see. Yeah. Obviously, it didn't finish that way. And even with those like speed bumps along the way, I'm like, they're not going to fuck up Andor, though. I feel like Andor, that's the adult table writing Andor.
Yeah.
There's no kids allowed at that one. Nothing's in crayon or pencil. Everything's in fucking like calligraphy. That's how I think Andor is being written.
No, I think so, too. Also, you mentioned Breaking Bad there, so this just randomly made me think of this. One of the Breaking Bad writers that followed Vince Gilligan to Better Call Saul is now writing season 2 of Gen V. And I was like, oh, shit. That's awesome. He's not like the sole writer. I guess he's in the writer's room, but I noticed it in his Twitter bio the other day because he tweeted like Better Call Saul broke a record, 53 times nominated, 0
that
wins.
Was ridiculous.
That's so sad. Like Bob Odenkirk's such a legend. He deserved to win at some point. But I went on his Twitter bio and it was like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, next up, Gen V season 2. I was like, oh, we're in fucking good hands there.
That makes me feel very, very at ease about. There's no reason for me not to feel at ease about anything in the boys' universe. Essentially, that makes me feel actually good and like even more excited than I was. Also, I can't believe Bob Odenkirk never won one. And the thing about it is, The Wire, I don't think was nominated for anything until I think the last season. They were nominated for a couple bullshit Emmys. This reminds me, I have zero respect for the Emmys because of that. So I'm now like anti-Emmy. It just reminded me of my anti-Emmy stance that was like 20 years old. I am now right back down on the fucking corner, Bob. Thanks for freaking bringing it back to me right now.
Full Andor. Fuck the Empire. Fuck the Emmys.
Yes, exactly.
You mentioned Darth Vader also. Yeah.
Empire, Emmys. I mean, it's all right there for you.
It's right there. It's right there. You mentioned Darth Vader. James Earl Jones turned 93 this week. So just wanted to say happy birthday to the big man.
I cannot believe that motherfucker is still alive. And he is like, I don't think he can be a young 93, but I'm always amazed. I'm like, he's in his 90s. And
I know.
Like, I guess you really don't hear from him anything new. He's kind of retired from being actually in the Darth scenes. But it's like, I just feel like, I don't want to say something like this. I feel like James Earl Jones cannot die. I feel like he's like immortal, basically.
I hope not. I certainly hope not after this podcast. Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah, that would. I needed to. Now I have 24 hours where I need James Earl Jones to survive. Yes. Maybe even through the weekend. But that dude was old as shit. Like I know they like made him look a little older, and he was blind. But in Sandlot, which was like the 90s, It was
Yeah.
before Bob was even born, and
He was old a long time ago.
Crushing. He was old a long time
And I
ago.
think he got paid. I think the story's like he got paid like $7,000 for the first Star Wars or something. And he didn't want to be put in the credits because he didn't think it was worthy of that. He's like, I came in and did like 5 lines. Don't put me in that. Which is crazy. He signed off his voice for the future, though. So he will always be the voice of Darth Vader in one way or another, technologically.
Do we know his career earnings from Star Wars?
No, I bet he made a ton for like Revenge of the Sith, even though he's got like a couple lines in it. You would hope they kind of like gave him the bag as a thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking up to see if I can figure out. Yeah, just a lot of it is the $7,000 story here. Just looking on the internet. So
just Daisy Ridley. Hers the only salary that gets reported. It's weird.
That would be pretty funny.
Star Wars What If apparently may be happening. This is just from one of the random leakers. It's not news. It's not official in any way, but it certainly makes us excited. There's so many Star Wars What If stories that we've talked about on the podcast. I texted you, Clem, right away. Said, what if Han Solo killed Darth Vader on Cloud City? What if Anakin's suspicions were true and Obi-Wan did fall for Padme? They were having an affair. There are so many stories you could go for. Don't try to connect the season like you did with Marvel What If. Let's take that blueprint and right their wrongs. But this could be awesome if they do it right.
I mean, what if Darth Jar Jar actually happens? Number one.
That's a must. It is a must for What If. You have to do that. What if, I think you text me, what if Qui-Gon lived, Obi-Wan died?
I think that's a common one. Yep, for sure.
That'd be a great one. I would love to see that.
What if Han shot, or what if Greedo shot first? Yeah, we would just get the stupid ass right. They changed that in one of the special editions. Is that right?
Yeah, they changed it a couple times. They changed it so Greedo shoots first and Han's head goes like that, like technologically, and it looks horrible. And then for the fucking Disney Plus release, he goes McClunky, and then he does it, and it's like, where did McClunky come from? I literally just rewatched it and I explained that whole thing to my girlfriend, who it was like the meme of the guy being like, and they added McClunky in the end. She's like, okay, yeah, but every January, I have to rewatch the Star Wars movies because I go, oh my God, it's 2024 and I haven't watched Star Wars in 2024. And it's almost like money, like burning a hole in my pocket as a kid. I'm like, I have to do this. So far, I just watched A New Hope. But of course, you got to follow it up with the rest of the saga. So Empire's up next.
What if, I'm trying to think of what would be some good other, like, what ifs that, like, what if maybe Yoda went to the dark side where we get kind of like a dark Yoda? Something like that.
That would be cool. That they do. They show like a dark version of Yoda in the Clone Wars. He has to fight like a shadowy version of himself, and it's really cool. So I think that would be really cool. I mean, I'm a sequel trilogy guy, but you can do a what if to appease some of the fans that didn't like the sequel trilogy, and you could do a what if Luke Skywalker didn't exile himself on Ahch-To. What if the Jedi Order, continued and Ben Solo just became Ben Solo, a great Jedi? You could do stuff like that I think could be really cool as well.
What if Obi-Wan became Darth Sidious's apprentice instead of, what if Anakin never leaves Tatooine? What if he dies? And where you just basically,
what if Obi-Wan doesn't die in A New Hope? What if Obi-Wan kills Vader in A New Hope on the Death Star?
Death Star doesn't blow up, all that kind of stuff. You do
Luke
have
misses.
a lot.
What if Luke misses?
What if Luke misses? Yes.
What
if Wedge blows up the Death Star?
Shit, yeah.
Don't fuck this up, Star Wars. You can make some very, very, very cool stuff here. Don't do what Marvel did and just...
I'll consult for free. You don't even have to pay me. Just please. Just let me be in the room. Let me see the whiteboard.
Get us in a base with some 3Chi and a whiteboard, and we will fucking make that bitch.
You think Star Wars uses a blackboard for old time's sake?
Yes, definitely.
We started in the 70s. It looks more like space. Little Marvel news, just a little bit. Tatiana I almost said Maisley, but apparently it's Tatiana Maslany, says She-Hulk season 2 is unlikely. She was the one who actually played She-Hulk when she wasn't Hulk. She says, I think we blew our budget, and Disney was like, no thanks. Makes sense because the season 1 budget was reportedly $225 million. That is bananas. We were 2 of the people that actually didn't hate She-Hulk, though. I liked She-Hulk more than Echo and Secret Invasion and Miss Marvel, more than a bunch of these shows. It had a lot of watchable moments. It definitely had some episodes where they felt like total filler and stuff. And you're like, you've blown a $225 million budget on this, but it had its moments.
Who is that villain? I didn't like the villain.
Oh, the guy,
villain.
the Wakanda Forever guy, or no?
No, the girl villain. The
yeah,
girl villain.
Jameel Hill. That's, I think, her name.
No, that's an ESPN person, I believe. Jameel Hill.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Megan was, and then there was the Megan Thee Stallion. Was that the twerking? Was that Megan Thee Stallion?
That wasn't great.
Didn't love that. That was
okay. It's Jamila. It's Jamila Jamil.
Jamil. That's close. I mean, it kind of like
close.
Yes. It's hard to. I wouldn't kill you for that at all. The twerking scene is like the Jack Black. What was it? Ahsoka or
yeah. Oh no,
Mandalorian. That one was like, it's just getting too real and celebrity-ish.
Yeah, but it takes you out of it.
When I saw the budget for that, and even though we could do it, they had a big budget, like my jaw, I was like, and it's like, that kind of became the face of, we're just gonna go crazy. It's for TV. Who gives a shit? Just spend. But again, the way they wrapped that season up and the way that they called out the shit that literally played out just as they said it would. I'm like, they weren't on it. And I think the people who hated She-Hulk the most are the people who didn't watch it. So you don't have to worry about that, Bob. The people who didn't like it.
True.
I've noticed this. The people that hate the Marvels the most are the people who didn't watch it. The people who went and saw it were like, yeah, it was all right. It wasn't great, but better than
it certainly wasn't like bad. It wasn't like offensively bad like people claimed it was. And then pulling off of that, Daredevil appeared in her show, and Daredevil Born Again is days away from restarting filming. I know people are thrilled about this. They overhauled the whole creative team and kind of threw out the scripts they had and went with new ones. I think they're bringing back Foggy and a bunch of the characters that they didn't think they were going to bring back. So people are really excited about this. I promise before Daredevil Born Again comes back, I will watch the Daredevil Netflix series in full. I still have only seen like a couple episodes, but it is great. I just still haven't gotten to the point where he puts on the suit yet. He's still doing, the black bandana and kind of the like makeshift suit, which is badass. I like that suit too.
I would love to see Jennifer Walters in that as well. And I'm like the whole like,
you could bring her back in that.
What does she say? She's like took down Matt Murdock, or like she's like inside baseballing it. Like I think that kind of shit's fun. I think that character has legs to play in other parts. I think that definitely she should be involved in all that shit. So you don't need. I was also heard that there's like they were like not so fast. Like we might do some sort of She-Hulk. I don't think there'll be a full show, but maybe an episode or some sort of one-off
special presentation. I know they said they're going to stop doing those, but don't. Those were good. Do more of those, less shows.
Less shows that are 5 to 10 episodes, and you're like, every single week I have to go watching this nonsense again, hoping it goes somewhere. Thank God they had an after credits. I still can't believe they didn't have after credits in Secret Invasion. Think about that, Bob.
That was the only project other than Endgame?
I think so.
That's bullshit. That's such bullshit.
It's 2024. Bob hasn't seen Star Wars yet, and I've said I'm not gonna pan Secret Invasion in my mom's basement anymore.
Star Wars
and I do
yet.
it.
What?
Haven't seen Daredevil. Star Wars. No, you haven't seen Star Wars this year.
Oh.
And I'm the opposite.
Star Wars.
Every show I say I'm not gonna rip Secret Invasion. Every show we just go down a Secret Invasion like murder rabbit hole.
Yeah. That's tough. Something brighter though. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, a new video game, a new Indiana Jones video game. We've heard of it. They announced it a while ago, but we finally got the first trailer. It looks awesome. Super cinematic trailer. Not a lot of gameplay in it, but enough to kind of get a little vibe. It's a first-person game. It's already controversial because people are like, I want to see Indiana Jones. But it seems like you play in the first person, you like hit something, and then they pull you out and show you a third-person view or something. I'm a huge Indiana Jones guy, so I just thought this was awesome. Troy Baker's doing his voice. He's doing a pretty good Harrison Ford impression in the trailer. Troy Baker is Joel from the Last of Us video game. He is a legend when it comes to voice acting. He's done Batman. Pretty much you name the series, he's done it in either an animated movie or a video game. It's set in 1937 between Raiders and Last Crusade, because Temple of Doom is a prequel. And the Great Circle refers to sites of great spiritual significance that mankind has built. And in the trailer, he's like, if you map them all out on a globe, there's a perfect circle around all of them. So I think it looks awesome. It looks like an Uncharted or Tomb Raider game. And those games were literally like inspired by Indiana Jones. So it's finally full circle. They've inspired an Indiana Jones game.
That's about a circle. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
It's a great circle.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. Yeah, I could sense your excitement over the text message when you sent it to me. Like, we got to talk about this today. I was like, I one of the most fun things about the Indiana Jones franchise is we take those real life, stories or places or whatever, religious figures or whatever, and then you bring them into the thing. And if we're gonna have a bunch of other shit that we're going through, that's awesome. And they could have just had it where it's like, you're going to be able to be Indiana Jones. You show a picture of Harrison Ford where you see his face, and then it's like, and you're going to punch a shitload of Nazis.
Yeah.
Bob, what do we love doing in the show? Punch Nazis.
Boom, boom, boom. And they show you a ton of that too. They show them punching Nazis to the John Williams fucking theme. It's like dun 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 dun. It's awesome. It's amazing.
That would be great if it was like Guitar Hero where you had to like time your punches to the Indiana Jones while punching Nazis.
And I saw people tweeting like, I bet people are going to call this woke because he's against Nazis. Those were all the topics. Now a little bit of Sopranos talk. I just want to talk a little bit of Sopranos spoilers talk, because the ending is obviously, it's been talked about and debated for like 15 years or however long it's been since it went off the air. I thought rewatching it, knowing the ending, that was the only thing I really knew going in. Oh, this is the other big spoiler. So listen, turn the podcast off if you haven't seen The Sopranos. I'm about to spoil something that got spoiled for me that I was very upset about. So when I started, I knew the ending. I had seen the entire final scene because I think at some point I got curious because I knew it was controversial. So I YouTubed The Sopranos final scene. Knew everything that was going to happen there. I'm watching it blind otherwise, and I'm enjoying it. I'm in the middle of like one of the seasons, season 2 or 3, and I'm watching Jeopardy, and the category is mob hits. And I don't think anything of it, but the first fucking clue says Adriana, Ralph, and Richie Aprile were all killed in this television show. And like, me and my girlfriend just looked at each other and we were like, no. So like, I actually think it was maybe Jackie Aprile. So like, Jackie had died already. That wasn't a spoiler for us. But Ralph Cifaretto's death, and Adriana's death were spoiled for us. The Adriana one, that one hurt to get spoiled. It's still like the death scene is so good that it hit. When you think she's getting away for a second, they show you like her bags packed as she's driving away, and then they cut to Syl. And that's kind of what I referred to earlier. I like fell in love with Syl, Steven Van Zandt, East Street Band guy. He's so funny. He's giving Godfather quotes just when I thought I was out. They pulled me back in. And then he kills Adriana and he calls her the C word as he's pulling her out of the car. And it just feels gross. And you're like, oh, fuck. Syl's a really bad guy. I shouldn't be rooting for this guy. But yeah, that was bad to get spoiled. But the ending, I actually really liked. And I felt like they foreshadowed a ton in the final season. Like knowing that's coming, you're watching for signs of it, obviously. But Bobby straight up telling Tony, goes blank when you die. You don't see anything. You don't hear anything. That tells him that on the boat. And they replay it in the second to last, the penultimate episode of The Sopranos. That's the last thing Tony thinks about before he goes to sleep the night before he potentially gets whacked or whatever. So I really liked it. I felt like Lost, where I watched Lost years after the fact in a binge, and everyone said the ending sucks. And I watched it and I was like, I don't know. I thought the ending was good. I thought The Sopranos is leagues above Lost, but felt a similar way where I was like, I liked it all.
Yeah, and I feel like the David Chase, because David Simon was The Wire, and I always get him confused, and it's like, don't want to fuck that up. David Chase, I feel like he doesn't like to be heavy-handed with stuff when he doesn't have to be. When they threw that flashback scene in, and then you could just go back and rewatch it and then know what happened in the finale, I'm shocked. I feel like that had to be an HBO, like, you need to put this in so people understand. Because I could just see him kicking and screaming, and I could be dead wrong about that. But I was like, that was like, I don't want Tony to die, even though, like you said, awful
I know,
person.
yeah.
Chrissy kills fucking his own nephew, right? And
crazy. That didn't get spoiled for me, so that was like shocking. And they do it at the beginning of an episode too.
Yeah,
it's like the very beginning. So you never expect someone to die like that at the beginning. But whew.
The Adriana one hurts because it's kind of the same where you think she's getting away, and then it's just the turn.
And she never did anything. All these guys, even the guys that get whacked, you're like, all right, they were fucking killing people. They're mobsters. Adriana she was just caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, she got in the fucking witness protection game or whatever, and kind of got chewed up by the system. So that, like, that's one thing I'm happy I watched it live. Didn't get anything spoiled for me. That is tough. The Tony thing, I didn't love it when it first happened, but I'll just tell it very quickly. You have to understand, back then, everyone was like, they thought their TV just like stopped working, and they're like, what the fuck? Because it just goes black, and then you don't see the credits at first. What happened to me, I was with my dad, we were watching it. My sister had come in, and she had broken up with her at the time boyfriend, and she was like crying. My mom wasn't home, so the two idiot guys have to console her. So we paused it on TiVo, and this is early DVR software we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
So it's at the point where, like, if you're say I could DVR wrestling, and if it didn't catch on, like if I didn't set up the recording right, I don't get the 11:01 to the 11:04, the good stuff on Raw that takes place. The recording could fuck up a lot of different ways back then. So I thought I got fucking bamboozled out of sitting in the Sopranos, and I was about to go yell at my sister, who's already crying her eyes out. So that's why I was just completely in shock. And you didn't just go online and like, there wasn't just like 1,000 Reddit pages, tweets, memes, everything. So it took a little bit of work to realize that we were all in this together. I didn't like it at the time. I was going to send this to you. I don't even know if it's still around. There was this like sprawling 8,000 page fucking.
Clemmer sent it to me.
Is it the one where it talks about how the cat is in the picture?
Because 30 pages, literally.
Yes. Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I read the whole thing and was convinced.
I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I started. It's literally 30 pages, so I haven't read the whole thing yet. But yeah.
I didn't realize that, like, when they say it's like, oh no, they changed a lot about the restaurant, and that's like, oh, they did. So like they're really setting it up. You should
3
tweet out
o'clock.
the
It
thing.
comes from the 3 o'clock angle. Yeah, I'll tweet out it's like 30 pages and it goes on every little detail. But like Tony in his, which is something that you want to bring up, I think, is the coma sequences and stuff, his dream sequences.
Yeah.
He hears in one of them, like, he kept saying 3 o'clock, like be prepared for 3 o'clock. And I saw people have broken down that the bathroom that the members only guy goes into is at Tony's 3 o'clock angle.
Oh.
So is that his subconscious telling him you're going to get whacked from 3 o'clock? Obviously, it could be a reference to The Godfather, guy going into a bathroom to get a gun. That David Chase has been very like, the one thing he has been heavy-handed in is Godfather references. Melfi like closing the door on Tony when she kicks him out. That was like a big, oh, Tony's really down a bad path now. Like if Melfi's not even going to deal with him. That was also cool seeing Melfi, her colleagues catch on to kind of knowing she's dealing with Tony and then start to tell her about the studies that are coming out that like, yeah, therapy is kind of a thing for like sociopaths to go in and like, excuse some of their actions or get it out. And she kind of like starts reading herself and you see her realize like, oh shit, I think I'm feeding into this now. Yeah. But I love the ambiguity of the ending and all the speculation, because since I finished it, I've just been going down the rabbit hole of every theory, every possible person who could have. Did Paulie know? Did Patsy give the okay? Because Carlo's son got busted and he was going to do this and he was going to do that. Every theory is interesting. It's like they left it so ambiguous that you're like, I don't know, maybe the members only guy could have been Eugene's brother, Eugene being the guy who came into a bunch of money at the beginning of the season, wanted to get out and retire in Florida, and Tony wouldn't let him, so he killed himself. And he always wore the exact same members only jacket, and the guy looked just like him, so could it be his brother? And there's so many interesting theories that work that make me think, oh, that's kind of the beauty in the ending. Like maybe it took 10 years worth of people debating it to realize, oh, these debates are so much fun that the ending worked.
It's again the Redditization of all of it, right? They did it with True Detective in just 9 weeks or whatever it was before the finale, and had built this whole crazy show out of nothing. So you get the Sopranos, all-time great show, years and years to build off of. Plus, they can just have this again. Everything in the restaurant, all the imagery, and you can just piece together anything you want. How many conspiracy theories are in the world right now, right? This is probably one of the more tame ones you should you can just enjoy. So it's like, it is kind of fun. And like, just from like a thinking about it level, if there's one way Tony would not want to go out, it's as his daughter walks in the door and sees his brains getting exploded right next to his wife and his kid, right? So, all in all, I don't want to admit it, but it's like, I know. And like I think David Chase was like, yeah, you fucking morons.
I know.
Dead. Like,
he said it well. I think while he was promoting the prequel, which I still haven't seen, everyone is telling me like, stay away from it. Don't watch it. I'll watch it. I'm going to get to it eventually because I'm curious. Like, I just want to see it, even if people hate it. Didn't you not hate it?
I didn't hate it. So this is what I compared it to. I said The Sopranos is a Sunday dinner at like whoever the like for my family, like my mom and dad, they make the sauce, and you're having your sauce. You're having a dinner. You're getting fresh bread. You're getting everything is just great. Maron. We're talking Papa Della Bella over here, Uncle Della Bella. That kind of level. You're the best Italian you could have, homemade. It is tremendous. That's The Sopranos. The movie is Olive Garden. It's not great. It's not, fucking A+ quality, but it does the job. It's like,
but when you're there, your family.
Exactly. Exactly. I will say though, you'll notice this, when they bring in characters or there's something reference to the show, there is some heavy-handed shit. And I'm like, you really didn't have to do that.
I've already seen some pictures of the people they got to play certain people, and every picture I've seen has been like, oh no, why did you cast him? But I'll get to it eventually. I'm not in any rush to see that. I'm in more of a rush to get through other TV shows and movies that I haven't seen than that one. I mean, even more like mob movies that I haven't seen now. Now I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to go down this rabbit hole and see the other stuff that inspired The Sopranos. Maybe I'll give The Godfather another shot. I've still never made it through the full movie.
Oh, yeah, you got to do 1 and 2. 3, you can let it go. 1 and 2. Yeah. I mean, after Narcos, I was watching every Colombian fucking documentary. I watched Scarface.
I know it's so much fun to dive into something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Like you said too, the coma. I didn't love the coma scenes. That's one of the reasons I bumped it, behind on my Mount Rushmore, the coma season or whatever you want to call it. And then
there's a couple episodes like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's heavy. And I'm sure the fucking manifesto on the imagery and all that makes perfect sense. I read a lot of that shit. And I still just didn't like it. And then, but like you said, that last season, man, when it's someone's gonna die no matter what. Every single episode during the war, I said it was like Game of Thrones when there was a legit war going on. You're we could be losing one of our favorites, or we could be losing one of the guys we hate. I don't know where it's gonna go. I always loved the New York relationship they had with the New York guys when Johnny Sack was in charge.
Johnny Sack, Phil Leotardo. There's such good opposition. Phil at the end, he's as crazy as Tony, to the point where you're I've seen a bunch of the theories where they're Butch and Carlo Jr. or what's his name, Jr. Whatever. Carmine Jr. Yes, Carmine Jr. What if they just wanted to fucking get Tony and Phil Leotardo out because they were this, feud has gotten crazy. Phil's death. Oh my God.
Awesome. I mean, I cheered.
Car rolling over. Oh my God. Crazy. And I didn't think he was going to die because I knew the ending. So we were getting so down to the wire that I'm just thinking in my head, oh, Phil is going to be the one to kill Tony. And when I saw that, I was like the guy, there's someone watching, he pukes. I was that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Someone said that the FBI agent is basically us when he's we're going to win this damn thing, right?
Yeah.
You're just watching it. You're
and that's such a great subtle scene too. Yeah. You're oh my God, the FBI agent got so fucking involved and fell in love with the guys from going to Satrielli's or whatever that he thinks he's in the New Jersey mob.
This is incredible, man. Great.
So good. Though.
I've debated doing the rewatch, and I will once I get done with. I have Ozark. I'll say Ozarks. I'll do it the wrong way there. And I probably have 2 or 3 other things I have to get done with. But I don't know if my wife has seen Sopranos. If she has, I don't know how far she's made it. I have to give her one more shot, just because I know when Adriana dies, she will be so fucking mad, and I kind of want to see how mad she's gonna get at me for making her watch that.
And I did a TikTok of my top 5 saddest deaths. My number 1 was Cosette, Adriana's daughter. Christopher sits on her. I couldn't believe that.
But that led to one of the greatest scenes.
The intervention scene.
Yeah, the toilet.
So
disgusting. That was one of those scenes that we would quote at college all the time. It was a running joke. And then I saw Big Cat would always reference it. I see all these memes about it. And it's one of those things that everyone just loved on their own. And now you just go on Twitter, you can find out what everyone loves. Back then it just grew on its own. And then I was like, man, that was just one of those scenes. And the thing with me, I mean, you know this, you live in Jersey. I mean, fuck, an idiot like me who does probably half this shit now. When they just say one word wrong in a phrase and completely butcher it, it's one of my favorite running jokes of The Sopranos.
It's the best. Every Paulie Walnuts, every other line he's saying a word completely incorrectly, and it's perfect.
So I thought that meteors. I thought they were all meat eaters.
Yeah. And
Interior
even in
decorator.
Pine Barrens when they're on the phone, yeah, interior decorators so
His
good.
house looked like shit. And that's the other thing. Like, you didn't get like that was one side of Sopranos you don't get from a binge, but watching it live, we were just like, where the fuck is that Russian? When's he coming
Yeah.
back? Like every like preview to a season would be like, does the Russian the Pine Barren Russian come back?
Some
This and
people
that.
think he killed Tony.
Yeah,
That's like an actual theory some
that
people
is-
have, and it's
yep.
like, who am I to say no? Like, it could be. That's as valid as my fucking theory that maybe New York did it in retaliation. Or I like the theory that Patsy at least knew, because there's like a one final scene when Patsy's daughter or Patsy's son is going to marry Meadow. They're having tea at the Soprano house, and they just start shooting each other these looks because Tony thinks, because your son got caught with Carlo and he's, ratting on people or whatever, are you gonna rat on me next? And Patsy's looking at him like, fuck you, like I didn't say anything about you killing my brother all these years, like except for the beginning. And I like the idea that Patsy and even Paulie at least knew it was gonna happen, and Paulie looks out for himself like always has. He's like, I lived through this gang war in the 70s, and I better make sure I get everything in order. Bobby Bacala in the train shop, so sad.
Oh, can't even. Oh, that makes me. Yeah, that's bad.
So sad. But you know what makes me happy is if you go on Steve Sharippa's Instagram, this guy loves his dog as much as I love my dog. He has a little wiener dog, Willie Boy, and he just feeds it human food all the time. He's like, here I am with Willie Boy eating tacos. Here we go. Here you go, Willie Boy. Great Instagram follow. But that's it. Yeah, that's all I had on The Sopranos. I might, if there's interest, I think I would like to do a full episode based around it with a big cast of characters from Barstool, maybe. Because Rico even said to me today, he said, now that you're done, you want to do a podcast about it. And I feel like getting Rico in the basement and doing something, maybe even a visual element, because we're so close to where they filmed all of this stuff. Like going to a couple of the locations, getting a slice from Pizza Land, going to Holston's, something like that could be fun for a video. So if people are interested, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. You got to Glenny Balls. I mean, when he talks Sopranos,
Totally.
his eyes light up to an old new.
Dude, imagine all of us wearing velour jumpsuits and rolling into Holston's together or something like that. It'd be hysterical.
Respect the pizzeria. You gotta
respect the pizzeria. That's a great line. That's a great line in the show. All right, that was the basement for this week. What do we got hashtag wise? If anyone made it to the end. We talked Andor, we talked She-Hulk, we talked award show movies, Godzilla Minus One, Minus Color, Echo.
Can we just do respect the pizzeria?
I don't hate that. Respect the pizzeria.
Don't disrespect the pizza parlor. That's what he says. Don't
disrespect the pizza parlor.
That's
too long a hashtag. That's too long.
Boba Fox. Boba Fox.
All right, Boba Fox. I'll take Boba Fox. We'll take that. If you made it to the end, hashtag Boba Fox. And we will be back next week for another mystery show. You don't know what you're going to get next week, but also be on the lookout for all those music interviews on the channel.